Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Quiet Storm Collective, a sacred space for real conversations. Today, I am honored to be sitting with Bonetta Spratley, a resilient Black woman living with HIV for over 30 years. Her journey is a testament to strength, connection, and the power of community. Welcome, Bonita. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. How about you?
I am doing fine. Thank you for accepting my invitation to be on tonight.
Absolutely. But thank you for having me.
You're welcome. My first question is, when people hear your name, what do you hope they feel or understand about your journey?
Well, first of all depend on who it is hearing my name. you, you can ask people that know me from my past, from Virginia, and they may have a different perspective. But I would hope that uh, in knowing me, that they would know that I'm genuine. Um, I am a woman about my work. I am honest, upfront, don't cut no corners when it comes to sharing my story. Know that they are safe uh, with getting information from me. Um, and I'm just an all around good person. Yep, down to earth.
I totally agree. Yes, you are. You are an amazing person.
Thank you.
Living with HIV for 30 years, 30 plus years, carries layers of experience. What has sustained you through the seasons when the fight felt especially heavy?
Listen, well, first and foremost, giving honor to God, who is my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Uh huh. Um, had I not been rooted and grounded, and I wasn't always rooted and grounded in the way that I became rooted and grounded once I became diagnosed with HIV. But uh, God, His scriptures, prayer, um, having a family that embraced me, whatever level I was on. And when I say that, I mean whatever I was doing in life, um, having them in my corner uh, definitely gave me the strength to go through whatever it was that I was facing in life.
For someone newly diagnosed who may be listening right now, what do you wish someone had told you early on?
Um, it's different from because when I was diagnosed back then, it had just kind of hit the scene. I was diagnosed in 1990. So I don't know that there were any information. Uh, Probably somebody from the future could have said, "You're going to survive,"
Mm,
because back then it was a death sentence. Um, you were unsure. We didn't have the information that we have now. There was no U equals U. There were no life sustaining medications. I didn't even have a case manager when I was diagnosed. So nobody to kind of guide you and walk you through. No support groups initially. So yeah, you felt like you were on a island alone. And so yeah, the one thing I wish that somebody would have told me, because of the things that I faced
mm.
after I was diagnosed, at least for the first 10 years, is that you are going to live, you're going to survive, and you're going to not only survive, you're going to thrive.
Amen.
Mhm.
So during those times when you didn't have anyone to lean on to give you strength, how did you make it through?
Um, so I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you, but here's the thing. What led me into being diagnosed was because I was a part of the 80s, 90s crack epidemic. So I was on drugs. So, and that drug use did not outright stop once I found out that I was diagnosed. So for the first uh, several years, I was numb to and didn't hear the medications, wasn't going to the doctor like I was supposed to, and I had to feel my way. I had to fight. to get off of drugs. That was a battle in itself. That was worse than the actual diagnosis, the HIV diagnosis was. The whole 30 years, hands down, my drug use was worse than the 30 plus years that I've been diagnosed. And so, um, and repeat the question again so I don't get too far off track.
Oh, you're doing good.
Okay.
It's for newly diagnosed individuals who are listening. What do you wish someone had told you? How did you get through the hard times when you didn't have anyone to talk to?
Right. So, like I said, just prayer,
Mhm.
scripture, and then eventually I was introduced to a support group,
Okay.
which was all Black, same gender loving males. And I was the only female there, and they embraced me. Um, they were like brothers to me, and they were all that I had, people that I could identify with in terms of being Black, in terms of coming from the same area, and in terms of being diagnosed. Of course, they didn't know what it was like to be a Black woman, and I didn't know what it was like to be a same gender loving male and be diagnosed. But we could identify with getting that diagnosis and taking medications if you were on medications at the time, and just different things that were happening to the body and going back and forth. So we shared that information and embraced each other and became a family. Hmm.
I was just going to say, sound like y'all became a family.
Yes, we were all we had because the stigma was heavy back then, and um, because of my drug use, um, which gave me courage and boldness, foolish courage and boldness, but I was bold enough to not um, feel shamed about my diagnosis. I didn't know about the stigma until after I had shared it with others, family members, um, friends, and by that time, the genie was out the bottle. I couldn't take it back, and glad I didn't. So I continued to share information once I started working with a pastor from Victory Christian United Church of Christ. She had a HIV ministry called the C program, Sister Education Awareness. And she took me under her wing. She was also my case manager. She took me under her wing, and I began to do speaking engagements at the local jail, at women's shelters, in the schools, um, different places that would allow me to come. And excuse me. And so that became my outlet. And I just, I gave it what I had, the information that I had at the time. And so, of course, it was nothing like now. We giving statistics and we
Right.
talking about U equals U and
Mhm.
all types of things, the intersectionality and all of that stuff like that. It was nothing. It was just talking about my story, how I became diagnosed, how my family treated me, those intimate things. So that gave me the strength to continue on and to build on to where I am today.
Speaking of you equals you, can you explain that? Explain what that means to our listeners.
So U equals U is if you take your medication as prescribed, you will become undetectable, which means you can not transmit the virus. So untransmittable. Undetectable equals untransmittable. And it's something I experienced when I don't know how many. So in '96, I was 6 years into my diagnosis. I had gotten married to my first husband, and he was not positive, and I got pregnant, and so I had my first child in '96, and she was not born diagnosed with HIV. um, That was my first experience. Well, actually, she was my second first experience because my husband was
Mhm.
my first experience with U equals U. He never became, as long as we were married, he never became positive. My first daughter or my second daughter, and so we what we say when we found out about U equals U was they know now what we knew back then,
Mhm.
um, because a lot of us experienced that same instance with having children and they weren't, and I know everyone didn't experience that. Some people, children were born with HIV, but um, thank God that I was not one of those ones. But yes, U equals U is undetectable equals untransmittable, and you are safe to have condomless sex if you and your mate, loved one, a person of choice choose to have condomless sex.
Thank you for that
Mhm.
explanation.
Yes.
Let's circle back to stigma.
Okay.
How have you navigated stigma, internal and external, over the years?
So again, so I never had internal stigma. I didn't know there was a stigma with HIV. I didn't find out until because I was diagnosed in Laurel, Maryland. I found out, excuse me, I had gone off to Job Corps. I'm from Virginia, and I went off to Job Corps in Laurel, Maryland. But when you get on site on campus, you have to take a STD um,
Mm.
test. So that's everything. Um, and the HIV test was included. Back then, it took 2 weeks to get the results back. I'm sitting in class, and you're gonna have to repeat that question because I'm sure I forgot it. But wait a minute. So
Yeah.
I took the test, and the 2 weeks came, and so I'm in class, and I get a call over the intercom asking me to come to the nurse's office. So I'm walking across the field, and in my mind, something says, you took that test. Now, this was in 1990, right? Fairly new. HIV is still fairly new on the scene. We didn't have a lot of information out. And even at that time, there were no medications. Like people were literally going across the border to get medications because people were dying. And so um, I went in and got that information. The nurse told me I was negative with everything, asked me had I ever heard of HIV. I said yes, and she said, "Well, you tested positive for it." And I'm sitting there like, "I did what?"
Mhm.
You know, man. In my mind, I'm thinking to myself, I'm upset. I didn't show it. I'm like froze, but I'm upset because I had made a plea with God. If I leave and go away to get myself together,
Right.
right? I'm gonna do right this time. This is gonna be it. I came way up here. You gonna tell me I'm
Mhm.
HIV positive? So I'm livid on the inside. I'm upset because like how? Why? So anyway, we get through that. So she tells me I have to take a confirmatory test, and but that first test is most of the time accurate. So she left me in the room, and she said, call herself giving me a few minutes to myself.
Mhm.
That was my counseling. So she comes back, I do the test, and I asked her for a note so that I could um, get out of class for the rest of that day. I was in Laurel, Maryland in Job Corps with a relative. So I went to class to get her so that I could share that. See, I can share that with her.
Mhm.
She was so upset and crying because back then it was a death sentence. So if you got diagnosed, automatically you thought, okay, I'm getting ready to die. I didn't know how long it was going to take. I wasn't sick. And I was fine back then, looking good. You can tell. You could tell me nothing. You could tell me nothing. So we hung out the rest of the day, and I'm just around the campus just telling people. And I was seeing this little guy, and I shared it with him. It just, when I think back about it, it blows my mind. So now you can tell me the question, I can finish answering it.
How did you deal with internal and external
Okay.
stigma?
All right. So I didn't have that internal stigma, and I was never met with stigma externally. My family embraced me still, like I said, they put up with me during the crack epidemic during my youth. And um, when I called to tell my mom that I was diagnosed, she said that she wasn't surprised, and she said that it had been a rumor around town that I was HIV positive and that I was passing it around. And I said, now how somebody gonna know what I got? And I ain't, I don't even know what I got, you know. So um no one ever came to me and said that, by the way, that I gave them HIV. So I think the person that knew that they was positive started and had, slept with me, started spreading it around saying that I was positive. I never found out who um, gave it to me, and it was like, what's the point? But yeah, never dealt with any external stigma. I did, but I didn't recognize it. And I say that because years later, I moved to South Carolina. I moved to South Carolina in 2005. I had my first daughter in 1996. While I was in the hospital, after you have your baby, so all of the fluids and everything is coming out of you, and you laying in the bed and stuff like that, and I'm needing to be my bedding changed and all of that stuff like that. And so the nurse that was on shift at the time, I'm telling her, ma'am, I need my bedding changed. And I had a C-section, so I couldn't really maneuver. I couldn't get up and do, all of the things that you can, normally do. And I mean, she left me there. Oh, she's sweeping the room and she all in the bathroom doing this, keep leaving and coming and going. And I done told her about 3, 4 times, man. So finally I get up. I worked myself out that bed. I was so upset. I cried and everything. I'm hurting and all of that. I wouldn't let my baby go to the nursery. She in there. I'm trying to deal with her. And it was years later, taking a training, that I found out what stigma was. After they started, breaking it down, I said, you know what? That doggone nurse didn't want to touch me.
Right.
She didn't want my body to be, you know, in contact with my bodily fluids. In fact, she never touched me. She didn't. She got upset because I started doing things with the bed, but she ended up leaving, and the next nurse came in on the next shift. Hmm. Yeah, so that was the only thing that I could recall, but it was years later, and I've been looking. Try me if you dare, because I know the myths, the misconceptions, and I have the
Right.
information that um, I can attempt to share with others. Most of the time, people are displaying stigma because um, either they positive and they trying to throw off, have family members that are positive, they're fearful, they're uneducated, they don't know the facts, or they just straight up mean. And so I know that's not a reflection of me,
Right.
that belongs to you. And so I have to remind myself that so that I don't lose my cool and I use it as an educational
Mhm.
moment if I can, because I'm not going to make nobody take the information. Um,
Right.
you'll find out one way or the other. And so I've had that to happen when I was in South Carolina, and someone, when we were doing testing at a church, and they had some harsh things to say. And I was a medical case manager at the time for a federally qualified health center. And lo and behold, who shows up at the doctor? And it wasn't them that was positive, but it was their child. And I ended up being the medical case manager. I didn't go in, you know,
Mm.
and say anything offensive or intimidating or anything. I embraced them, um, told them I understand, I'm here for you, um, share with them it happens all the time. We always hear it, you know, but now and I give them, the information that there's life after HIV positive diagnosis. You take your medication, you can live a normal, healthy life. Whatever your goals and plans were prior to you being diagnosed, you can continue on that journey. You can have children, you can get married, have relationships, all of the things that you desire to do prior to you being diagnosed, you can still continue on that journey. You would just have to now, um, you know, be more considerate about having condomless sex, because um, you can become reinfected, or you can contract other STDs. And God forbid if you have compounded things that you have to deal with. And so I know I probably done answered about 10, 20 questions.
You're doing good. I mean, I commend you for turning that situation into an educational moment.
Absolutely. Listen, if nothing else, God knew that if I'm going through something that I'm passionate about and I have the information about it, honey,
Mhm.
sometimes you can't shut me up. And this is not my first interview, but most of the time they ask me one question, and I answer them all in one sitting.
Mhm.
So yeah.
You're doing good.
Hmm.
Speaking of being in the clinical setting,
Hmm.
how has seeing HIV through different lenses affected how you advocate today?
Um. So here's the thing. I understand both sides
Mhm.
because I'm a person with lived experience,
Mhm.
and then now I have the opportunity to bridge the gap with others, to give them life. Um. For our church folks, in particular,
Mhm.
those that come in. And I've had a lot of them, including myself, who thought that because God is mighty and powerful, I don't deny his power at all and what he is able to do. But there is nothing wrong with taking your medications as prescribed.
Mhm.
There was a time that I thought that I'm going to believe for my healing
Mhm.
and not take my medication, and I almost died until I had a come to Jesus moment that said, I blessed the scientists and the doctors
Mhm.
to do the job that they are doing. This medication may be the very thing that saves your life.
Mm.
Take the pill. And here I am. And so I have had moments where I have had to be that. uh, spokesperson and give that person the come to Jesus moment. Honey, if a cure came in the form of a pill, you're not going to take it.
Right.
This medication that we are taking may not take the actual diagnosis away, but it took the power away from the diagnosis. I'm still capable of doing the things that I was doing prior to my diagnosis. What do you mean, Bonetta? I mean, it came to kill me. It came to steal my life away. It came to destroy me. But I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm still able to live a healthy, normal life. I'm still able to go about my day. I'm not sick. I haven't been in the hospital concerning HIV since the early 2000s. Since the early 2000s. And I
That's
mean
a
like
blessing.
2001. And so being able to share the things that I've gone through and how I've overcome, being able to give people hope, being able to give them, tips and give them my number that they can call or my email where they can, email me, get in touch with me, having an open door policy, um, embracing them, hugging them, because some people don't get a hug because they family members or loved ones don't want to touch them. You know, people that call me and tell me, you don't know what you did for me.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people that were on the brink of killing themselves because they couldn't deal with the fact that they had been diagnosed, not knowing, what tomorrow would bring.
Right.
And to say, because you shared the information that you shared with me, because I see how you look and you say you've been diagnosed for how long?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things that keep me going. Those are the things that kept me wanting to share, um, and just be that beacon of light, whatever it is that people see. Because, honey, sometimes I don't feel the same way, but myself, I don't know
You
how to
said it
tell
right. You are a
how I
beacon
feel.
of the
And
light. Mm-hmm.
to see that smile on people's face and to hear the testaments, um, of empowerment, you know, that I gave to them for just showing up, for just being present, for just having that listening ear, for just giving that information, for just giving them a hug, touching them, whatever it is that, I do in that moment with that individual, because everybody is a case by case. Some people don't want to be touched. They just that's everybody's not the same. And so, but whatever it is that I can do or be with the individual when I'm in their presence, people have embraced it and they have told me, how good I made them feel and the difference that I made in their life. And
I
that
can
empowers me and it
I can
motivates
attest
me
to
to keep
that.
going.
You are a true blessing to so many. Like we was talking earlier, you may not think about it, but you pushed me to be who I am. Because before I met you, well, when I first met you, I was always in the back and I'm like this.
Yes.
But in watching you and you pushing me to be better, I'm learning to speak out, stand in front of a crowd and not be nervous or
Yes.
scared. Just
Yeah.
tell my story and go on. They either going to accept it
Right.
or they're not. I can only give the information. It's up to them what they do with it.
That's right.
And that's
We
what I've
used.
learned from you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. To God be the glory. And so I think about how I thought that HIV was this, and this is my point of view. Everybody don't have the same point of view. I used to think that HIV was this big bad wolf, and that's how my life was going to be, instant after instant after instant. And God took the sting away. And so it's the same thing with speaking engagements. Now I still get nervous, but once I'm going, I'm in there,
Right.
and I can, generally I can flow if I'm talking about something that I have knowledge and stuff about. And you can't tell me about my life because I know what I went through. I walked it out. And so I'm comfortable with sharing. And like I said, because I've had those moments with other people, um, and they've told me how they made me feel. So now, I get the big chest. I can poke my chest out when I get to,
Mhm.
when I get to share now, because I know that it's going to be a blessing for those that hear, what I have to say. People are going to be empowered.
Yes, they are. You are, like I said, you are amazing. I have a comment on Facebook from Shakila Shaw. She
Okay.
said, "Thank you for sharing your inspirational story."
Thank you. Thank you, Shakila. You're
Um,
welcome.
yeah, yeah. I'm thinking I need to get the two of y'all together,
Okay.
and we do a roundtable conversation
Mm-hmm.
because both of y'all have some powerful testimonies, but you touch people in different ways. So I would love to get, I would like to extend that opportunity to both of y'all to come in one night and we do a roundtable conversation, a
Absolutely.
girls chat.
I'm here. I'm here.
My next question: advocacy can be very draining work. How do you protect your peace when helping others?
I'm an introvert, so my peace is protected a lot.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I'm like you said. I like to stay in the back.
mm-hmm,
You know, I let everybody else go on to the front. I'll do some emailing. I'll make the signs if y'all going out and protest on the hill. I like to lay low,
mm-hmm.
and so that has protected me down through the years. Now, I used to say I'm not, because let me tell you, my mind was blown when I found out all of the different moving parts to the HIV community.
Right.
It is so much. We got research, we got policy, we got clinical.
Mm-hmm,
Oh my God. The nonprofit organizations. It is so much to be a part of. Um, and I've had my hand in different areas, but I don't I wouldn't say that I'm a boots on the ground advocacy type person.
you
Like I've been to Capitol Hill 2-3 times. I done had enough now. If I had to get out there, they were talking about taking our medications like uh, we had to do back in the day when we were out there for the AIDS drug assistance program, and we didn't have the money for the medications and all that stuff like that. Listen, I advocate for that, but it's so much of us now. Look, y'all go ahead. Like I said, I make the signs. I'll call. I don't know. People might be
sound
mad
like
about it. How could you
Mhm.
not go and blah blah blah? But yeah, we can't do it all. All of us can't. There's some people that'll never pick up a mic and stand before people and share their testimony and stuff like that. So there
Right.
are going to be some things that you may not, feel comfortable with doing. But yeah, I advocate in my mind, but not um at a grandstand. Like I said, I don't, it's certain advocacy things that I would do. So, but I'm comfortable with giving people information, leading people in the right direction. Um, I'm good for giving you resources. I'm a good old community health worker.
Yeah.
That part. So, in those terms, yes. And I listen and get on just to stay abreast, because you want to, be attuned to what's going on. I get on a few webinars and, be in some groups and stuff just so I can have the information and I'm not in the dark about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of organizations in the community, is there any that give you hope or push you to continue to work?
Absolutely. Seeds of Healing, the Well Project, Positive Women Network, Sister Love, um, Ribbon. I'm probably leaving some out, but there are a host of organizations that have um, empowered me, that I've done trainings with, organizations that are ran by some phenomenal women. And I'm telling you, I wish I had a list here because I would call them out because they deserve to be called out, as well as the women
Right.
and other people with lived experience that are running those organizations. Listen, we have come a long way, and we have some awesome nonprofit organizations, local and national, that are doing the doggone thing, and they stand in the gap for us. And it, listen, you can't mess with us now, because they're gonna come out the woodwork on you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all you gotta do is put that word out there, and they will come and back you, and give you information like nobody else. This is um, a tough community, and I mean we've been through a lot. You know what I mean? And so they don't. We don't like to see each other stigmatized and misused and stuff like that. So, but yeah, those are some phenomenal organizations, and I said Seeds of Healing because that's an organization that I've worked with since 2020, where the executive director is Dr. LaShonda Wallace, a phenomenal leader. Um, she, in my book, is one of the best that ever did it. She has a powerful story and background herself. You can go to the website, seedsofhealing.org, Seeds of Healing Inc., inc.org, and um, listen to her story and how she came about doing the work that she's doing. But we have great programs and stuff for Black women, um, where I'm the program coordinator, uh, and I navigate the women's group, our webinars, and one of our prized possessions is the annual women's retreat that we have at Wrightsville Beach every year. It's a 3-day retreat where the women come together, and oh my God, we have such an awesome time together. And it's nothing um, better than I like seeing those smiles, and especially for those women that have never been in the midst of other women with lived experience. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's a feeling like I can't even describe. Yeah.
And
It's
as
warm.
a participant of
Yes.
said retreat, the one word I think about is healing.
Yes.
I've seen so many of us, including myself, be healed during those retreats. You know, where we would normally not speak out,
Right.
we're standing up in front of the crowd and speaking to our sisters who have
Yes.
become our family, not just community, but we're like a family.
Right.
Like we're coming for a family reunion when we get together.
Yep.
So I thank you and Lashonda for putting that together so that we have that opportunity.
Yes.
We're coming down to our last few questions, Miss Bonita. I
Okay.
have two more.
Okay.
When you think about your legacy, what do you hope your advocacy leaves behind?
Um, one of resilience, impactful, one that says, uh, because I didn't think I was gonna make it. She didn't think she was gonna make it, but
Mm,
God,
mm,
but God. And um, I really want now. I'm gonna say I really want my daughters to be proud because I have two daughters, but they are, like, they tell me all the time, um, especially my youngest daughter. She talks about, like you say, everybody's always pat me on the back, and they see this phenomenal woman doing the work that she does. Excuse me. And sometimes I don't, sometimes we don't see, the impact that we make in other people's lives and stuff. So, but yes, I definitely want to be known. um, for making an impact
Mm.
in other people's lives, in particularly those that have been silenced, those that have been silent and have lived in the shadows, those that didn't have family members and friends, those that were afraid to share their experience, to join support groups with other women alike. Those are those ones that I want to impact. And if I never hear or get to know the impact that I made with said people, as long as it happens and God got it recorded, I'm all right.
Ooh, amen.
Yeah,
You done jumped into the last questions that I have over. I knew
that
I
was
knew
a
when
good segue.
I asked that question, you were gonna slowly slide into them last ones.
That was a good segue.
It was. So let's see, I'm gonna see if I'm gonna combine these last ones.
Okay.
What gives you hope for the fight against HIV? That's the first part. The second part is, what is one truth you want listeners to remember from this segment?
Um, okay. So I'm gonna do the last one first. So the one truth is to know that there's a wait a minute. It's my thing I say all the time, and now I'm getting tongue
It's
tied.
okay.
There's life after positive diagnosis. That's my
Mm.
one truth. And then the first question was
Um, what hope do you have for the fight against HIV?
my community.
Mm.
My community. When I tell you, I'm so glad that I'm on the front line and that I know people that, with lived experience. I'm connected with a lot of people and I get to see y'all shine. I get to
Mm.
see y'all do y'all thing. I get to see y'all, take the bull by the horn, to come out with books, documentaries, movies, podcasts. Oh my God, all types of things. Start your own organization.
Mm.
Listen, even just saying those things,
Right.
starting ministries and different things like that. Listen, I get amped. I get amped. It pumps me up. And so that keeps me going. Seeing you guys do your thing and us. You
Mm.
understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
The black women. And because they can't keep us down. And I thank God because it's a testament to him and his healing,
Mm.
the power in his word. Take it back to that because had not been for God on my side, honey,
Mm.
I'd have been dead in my grave. 2 times. He delivered me from crack. And I got a third one. He delivered me from a domestic intimate partner,
Violence.
intimate partner violent marriage, and um, HIV.
Mm.
You understand? And so, who wouldn't serve a God like this? But He has shielded and protected me. The weapon formed, but it didn't prosper. Hot dog.
Amen. Woo.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So there is life after a positive diagnosis. If you are a family member, test positive, please reach out to your local organization, your local health department. Connect yourself with a support group. Um, talk with your case manager. Google HIV organizations, support groups. Um, Listen, we are here for you. You do not have to go through this by yourself. There is life after positive diagnosis. You don't have to succumb to this uh, virus, and it is deadly if you do not take your medications. So, but you can live. You
Okay.
can live, and not only can you live, honey, you can thrive.
Definitely. Miss Bonita, you have blessed me tonight like you always do.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I thank you for accepting my invitation again. Thank you for reminding me of why I started this podcast.
Yes.
Thank you for being a beacon of hope for those who have lost it, for being a voice for those that cannot speak. It is my prayer that God continues to enlarge your territory and allow your gifts to continue to make room for you. You are welcome back at um I can't even talk now. Quiet Storm Collective at any time. Thank you so much and you have a great night.
Thank you as well. And back to you tenfold.
Thank you.